Oh, let's have a little experiment in the human condition. A little peering into the human condition. Oh, I need to brush my hair. Alright. It's like, now it's messing with me. Okay, there we go. There we go. So, one story made me look up some others. And it was interesting because in looking this up, it was great because I didn't get the main story when I searched, I didn't get it right. So all the other ones that I wasn't looking for came up. The overwhelming number of I am a hero and things went horribly wrong. Well, let's talk about heroism, shall we? Let's talk about some heroism. Let's look at how's that social experiment, those heroic men of Europe and Britain, those unarmed men. Let's just. Didn't I make a video directed to that guy Sean about how he should probably figure out a way one day of defending the women of his nation? Well, let's just get into this, shall we? Evening Standard. Fashion boss attacked and kicked on tube condemns two men who walked away and left her to defend herself. I guess with her badassness, spin kick, and liberation. Tamara Sinchik was attacked as she traveled on the Northern Line, who she has condemned two men in their 50s who didn't come to her aid. That's odd. I guess after we'll get through the type, a description of the criminal, we could, well, there, boy, it's so odd, just some male apparently attacked her. But there must be more details. A fashion chief executive who claims she was verbally and physically assaulted on the tube has condemned two male passengers for not coming to her aid. I'm still baffled. Well, but tell me more about this horrible attacker in case I'm ever on that train. Tamara Sinchik, founder and CEO of consultancy company Fashion Roundtable, oh yes, of course, said she was attacked by an unwell, it's in quotes, unwell man as she traveled from her home in Highgate to a business meeting in Old Street. But she said that two men sitting close to her did not try and help her at all. Instead, walked away, leaving her with the aggressive man who screamed and swore at her and kicked her. The mother of one, oh, she's a mother. I'm guessing her child was with her. Now it doesn't say yelled at her and her child to the yelling at her. So I'm still a little. I just feel like there's some details being kind of left out here. The mother of one, but it's interesting. But now I know she's a mom. She's a mom. Some random unwell man is kicking and screaming. And she's a fashion mogul from Highgate. The mother of one said she was on the Northern Line tube at around lunchtime on Monday when the alleged assault happened. I got on the tube at Highgate and I was going to Old Street, she told the Standard. This guy gets on at Archway. Oh, he's a guy. Okay. He is about 6 foot and around 30 to 35 years old. Oh, okay. Well, look for that if you're in the country of England. A 30 to 35-year-old who curses and kicks. And he's about 6 foot. It's not that he might be shorter than 6 feet and close to or a little taller than 6 feet. At first I thought he was some sort of performance artist, but then it became clear that he was not well. He was screaming and shouting at me and saying things like, I am going to fucking kick you. Then he did actually kick me. It was proper intimidating. He was a big guy and I am only size 8. Okay. I guess size 8. Yes. I guess that's sort of like, through like 1 stone or something. It's a measurement somewhere. Somewhere in this universe that should tell a literate reader the details of this crime committed. Miss Sinchik described the incidents as terrifying and said the man was dangerous and and he obviously needs help. He needs help kicking people. Maybe it's what it is. He needs help punching. Like he has no arms, so he can't hang. But she was left furious by the lack of support shown to her by 2 men who were sitting on the tube near her. There were 2 men sitting in the carriage near me who looked as though they were in their 50s. Because, as all men know, when you're in your 50s, that's when you can take on a crazy 30-year-old of somewhere around 6 foot. That's what I'm looking forward to in my 50s. Fighting all the young men in hand-to-hand combat. Yeah. At one point, the guy said, these 2 aren't going to help you. They're going into the next carriage and leave you. And then that is exactly what happened. It was the strangest thing. When they walked out, the guy shouting at me was laughing and said, now you're on your own. It was a power trip. All right. I'm going to make sure I put Penny red. Lori Penny. Where were you at, homegirl? Where were all the female Bobs? This is your future. You just remember that. This is what you wanted. This is what you voted for. This is what you keep supporting. This is your fucking future. You remember that, Penny. She said eventually, a woman came and sat with her and said she would not leave her. I won't let him intimidate you. They then pulled the emergency cord and the train came to a stop, at which point the perpetrator got off. Miss Sinchik was left shaken and shocked by the behavior of the 2 commuters. See, probably what it was is that they didn't want to get caught with their kitchen utensils. I'm betting those briefcases was packed full of utensils. And they were like, oi, we need to get out of here, because when the Bob shows up, they'll find all these sharp knives. And they took off. Because they're white men, so of course they're carrying lots of weaponry. Because Britain, all those unruly white criminals. Now, what I keep finding interesting is the old white men didn't stand up for her, but I wish I just could kind of identify something more about the attacker. I mean, did she not know he was well because, like, he stunk of liquor? Did he look unkempt? Like what kind of hair did he have? Was it tousled? Did he have a beard? Did he have, say, a big, long beard? Or was he clean shaven? I mean, something. Tattoos? Did say something like, oi, riot, or something like that, football, because that's the kind of people who do this, right? Like, oi, I know, you root for West Ham, don't you? You dirty bird, I'm going to fucking kick you. That's what I mean, it was obviously this guy confused this train for a special. He thought he was on the way up to, fucking Wigan, and was going to start up some shit. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm not on the right train," and he went to go, to the Black Boy or whatever, and have himself a pint of the local. The two men wouldn't even look me in the eye. They left me on my own when the guy was still the guy shouting at me. I was worried. It was really scary. It was disgusting that the two men didn't do anything to help me, and instead left me alone with this woman who was amazing. The incident was reported to police, who are investigating. I wonder what they're investigating. I bet they're investigating these two fucking old white men. I would bet money these guys get found and shamed in public and lose their fucking jobs. I will bet you money. They better lawyer up. They better have left that train and called a fucking solicitor. Because these people are going to be up their buttholes over this. That these guys didn't want to get stabbed to death by some guy, just some random 6-foot guy. I love this. I love how people who can't fight their way out of a wet bag and what they think it takes to take on a nutter. A country of disarmed people run by hens and socialists and people who wear wigs and motherfuckers. So here's what the real deal is. I was attacked on the train. No one helped me. And I'm not sure I would have helped me either. This was in Slate. Back in, let's see. I think this was 2015, if I remember correctly. This was one of the many fucking stories I stumbled on. You see, you could go to Colin Flaherty's work and find lots of stories like this. But he makes sure that you know exactly what the perpetrator looked like. And that's a no-no. In apparently the, what was this? In the Evening Standard. Some guy, some kicking criminal, the guy who kicks and swears on the train. You know that guy. He's about 6 feet tall. What happened to Kevin Joseph Sutherland was horrific beyond imagining. July 4th, in front of about 10 witnesses on the Washington, D.C. Metro, an assailant punched him, stomped on him, kicked him in the head, and stabbed him at least 30 times. No one attempted to stop Sutherland's killer. What happened to me in November was vastly different. I do not intend to equate the two events. Like Sutherland, I was attacked on a Saturday afternoon on the D.C. Metro. Oh yeah. Because in Washington, D.C., you can't pack unless you plan to get locked up for it. Ask Adam Kokesh. What happened to me in November was vastly different. Okay, and in Sutherland's case, despite my screams and pleas, almost none of my fellow passengers on the crowded train car did anything to help. I was in a window seat on the Blue Line en route to meet friends for dinner. One teenage girl sat down next to a man in front of me. Another sat beside me. They began by asking what kind of phone I had. The girl next to me patted down my pockets and finding nothing, grabbed my coffee mug out of my hands. The girl in front of her put her finger in my face, getting as close as she could without touching me. They grabbed my legs. Girl. It's so fascinating. They're just these girls. They're just these teens. I bet they're teens who were somewhere like around a size 8. And the 2 stone. She has a finger, apparently. So she has at least one finger. One of these women has a finger. The girl in front of her put her finger in my face, getting as close as she could without touching me. They grabbed my legs. They threatened to rape me until I bled. One opened the other's coat jacket, feigning or not that she had a weapon. Trying to get the attention of other passengers, I shouted at the top of my lungs, "Leave me alone and stop touching me." I tried to flee when the train stopped, but they boxed me in and shoved me back into my seat. The man sitting in front of me next to one of the girls who attacked me never turned around. He rode the train for a few stops while the assault was going on and then departed. The only person to come to my defense was a petite 20-something woman who told the girls to cut it out. The girls briefly yelled at her, which filled me with both gratitude on her behalf, regret, but then turned their attention back to me. On my second attempt to escape, I took several punches, but managed to shove past them. The girls chased me off the train, then back on it, then off again. The chase dragged on across 2 stops. I was finally able to hit the emergency button and alert the conductor. Later that day, bruised but not otherwise hurt, I identified the girls for the police. These girls, they just, I guess they're, wild, those wild Irish, the Molly McGuires, those Hibernian gangsters. I took a month before I rode the train by myself again. That's your future, Penny Red. That's your future, feminists. That's your future. You just remember that. Now you're liberated. Now you know what it's like. Now you understand what it's like. You know what a thing with balls goes through. Now you know. This is why things with balls like knowing they could pack a fucking gun legally. This is why when the things with balls kind of ran things and someone fucked with you and you fought with them, all the other decent things with balls would beat the crap out of the dirtbag. And then they would hand what was left of them over to the fucking police. But you see, we needed more understanding in our society. For the girls and the guys. Random girls and guys. The teens. Unruly youths. Fighting. My dad back in Kansas. There's no place like home, huh? Shouldn't. No. Schadenfreude is wrong. It's wrong. This person got fucked up. It's wrong. Sent me what seemed like every pepper spray available on Amazon. Bought myself a comically oversized pepper spray fogger that my boyfriend calls the criminal extinguisher. You're right. It's called the criminal extinguisher. Oh my god, it's like a fire extinguisher. I use earbuds more sparingly now. Yup. I rarely sit down on the train. Yup. Always something at your back, so you can't get murphed out. Look that one up, feminists. Look it up, Penny Red. Murph out. Good old-fashioned murph out. That way I can't be cornered. No, actually, you can fight your way out of a corner, especially if you're armed. Oh, but well, I guess you have your extinguisher. After the incident, I felt angry at all the people on the crowded train car. There must have been 30 adults who did nothing. That's Washington, D.C. Always remember this. That's what Washington, D.C. really is. When I screamed, no one tried to intervene. They didn't hit the emergency call button. They didn't even acknowledge that anything was happening. They just averted their eyes and let it continue. I'm going to just leave it there. Because as I've said before, that was by Marianne Seregi, S-E-R-E-G-I, Slate, 7/2015, Life Dispatches. I was attacked on the DC Metro. No one helped me. The first one was about Tamara Sinchik, written by Chloe Chaplain and Tom Powell 11 hours ago on the Evening Standard. So I made sure to talk about this before, and I just want to refer for just a moment to one of the men who I truly respect, because he's the kind of guy who, when I know of his past, it makes more sense when I see him talk and the way he conducts himself. Varg. that he's seen way tougher than most men really ever sit down and look into the eyes of something like that. No, he's seen tougher. He's one of those people who could say that I've seen tougher men. Um, there's a lot of people on here who, you're veterans and stuff, and so you've seen tougher, you've seen meaner, you've seen you've seen that which is more evil. I haven't seen much. I haven't seen much, but there's just stuff I know. I'm like, nope, there's way worse. Somebody today who was breaking into the mentally ill. God, it's just when you could spot it, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then suddenly, oh my God, America was never great. I believe in socialism. I'm like, oh God, no wonder you're so fucked up. No wonder you can't work well. Fuck. Like, God, you're gonna be a fucking anchor. Um, and so it just was this moment that I really, it just all of this came together when Vargas said it. Don't give them hope. Feminists, British feminists, that's your future. There is no hope. Stop believing that it will ever get better. It won't. It will never get better. Not until you just stop. Until you stop and you never vote again. It won't get better. Stop thinking there's something to hope for. There's some future that you right now like. You like this idea. You like these ideas. Oh, the NHS. Oh, there should be more free things, free college, blah, blah, blah. Not like America where you have to pay for things like capitalism. Capitalism's so dumb. Yeah, hope's dumb too. And you should stop having it. You should stop. Because this is reality. They will turn their backs. You will have your socialist paradise. And your countrymen will be quelled into silence. And they will turn their backs. When things go wrong and you finally say something you shouldn't have, when you finally have a friend who it turns out, oh, they say bad things, they know bad people, they have ideas that are dangerous, everybody will turn their back. You remember that. See, in America, you say hello to your neighbor. It's awkward, it's odd, but you are sunny to other people. And when the trees freeze in an ice storm and start falling on the power lines and on people's houses, everyone comes out with their flashlights to check on each other when the blizzard comes in. And you are quite certain, you're not sure if somebody has driven off the road, but it looks like somebody drove off the road. You have made sure to have supplies because people drive off the road and they will die. And they are your countrymen. They are your people of Michigan. They're your people of Nebraska, Omaha, Iowa. They're your people. You know what it is to live in the great desert where it snows. You should lose hope. Here our men still have armaments. Look up what happens when a good Samaritan tries to do a good thing. In most major cities, you're facing probably getting sued, going to jail if you help somebody. You help some woman with her stupid ass choice of a boyfriend or something, you're gonna go to fucking jail, so you just ignore it. It's her fault, and she should have a gun. You all on the left, you've set this up. You're supposed to be spin kicking, ladies. Don't you take cardio kickboxing? Aren't you badass? There is no hope until you shut the fuck up and you let the way of things reset themselves. And I mean, we've had to just use sheer force to do this. And then the beauty of it is that it put the Democrats in party form and the left in general on the defensive. So now the left is defending itself against being understood as communists who are kind of rapey and are not tough in any way, shape, or form, and that without students who are unknowledgeable, people who are kind of broken and misshapen, the illogical, the irrational, the deceitful, openly deceitful, and journalists who aren't really good at writing and don't have access. Without these things, the left actually can't keep itself going because they don't build things. They just destroy other things and then dance upon the rubble of shantytown. Whatever structure in society is left, they party within it. They don't do anything else. Now we can't even agree on epistemology anymore. What can be no knowledge? The left just invents things now. Like microaggressions. Capitalism came from neoliberalism. I love it. God, God, this is just gonna be awful. What a dumb shit. It's one of those moments where I'm like, wow, damn. When you really look at somebody and you're like, damn, you were dumb. Oh my God. You've just said a stack of words that proves you were like you've sucked the smart out of the room. But that'll be my personal problem to deal with. Keeping it cool while this dumbass is yeah. Lose hope, ladies. Just lose hope, because there's a lot of us, a lot of the MGTOW people, and this is really a very terrible thing because Rock Mystery actually made a video about this, about incels and the MGTOW community and the toxicity of this, and this does have to be understood that when one is living a lifestyle that they go home to somebody and they have a relatively conservative lifestyle, that they aren't on a train late at night, for whatever reason, and stuff. And when you're a young guy and you're in the nightlife, and you're trying to be this, be that, you try to smile and nod to a lady and stuff, and you keep getting these dirty looks and everything, and then at some point you're just like, fuck this. I don't fight people for a living. I'm not a police officer. Fuck this. I'm not going to get anything out of this. And really people need to understand that is the end of a thing called a nation, a community. That's the end of the agreement to law. And this has been going on for a while. People really are just sleeping on this. This has been going on for a while on public transportation. This is why people don't like public transportation and prefer private transportation. This is why public transportation loses, almost every contest of the market. Because crazy people can fuck you up on public transportation and nobody will do anything about it because they're sick, they're unwell, these unruly teens and these men some 30 to 35-year-old 6-foot man who was unwell, but he was a big guy. He was big and he was a guy and I'm thinking he was a little exotic, very likely. That's what I'm thinking. Thinking he was probably a bit exotic. I'm thinking these teen girls were a bit exotic in some way. We just don't want to discuss that because we don't want to cause conflict. We just want to find out, like, why would the white men do things spontaneously, like out of nowhere, just like solve all the problems? Oh my God. Lose hope and stop voting. Lose hope, get a pet, get a hobby, just don't vote. We'll take care of things. You might not like that lots of exotic people now and then get their head blown off because they were fucking with the wrong person and found out. But it doesn't matter because you won't vote. Or keep complaining and lose hope.